Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to Jennifer Urezzio. No surprise, I got introduced to her by Annie P. Ruggles, who just so happens to introduce me to like every guest I have on the podcast. But Jennifer does something really unique and really amazing. And for all of you who may be thinking in your business, am I really doing what I love? Am I really doing what I feel like I should be doing? Soon as I met Jennifer, I knew I wanted to have her on the podcast because what she does is she helps you understand what your soul language is, both you as a human and your business. And I think right now, as people are going through so many different shifts, this is such an interesting topic. And I can't wait to hear all of her brilliance on this and what that means for us. So Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I know. Let me tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to get into all the good stuff. So Jennifer is the dynamic force and founder behind the Soul Language, which is a one-of-a-kind approach that melds deep spiritual insight with practical business acumen. She helps people connect with their soul's essence and create businesses that matter. All right, so let's talk about soul language.
Can we just talk about Annie Ruggles first? Because Annie wrote that. Annie's the only individual that I actually allow to write any copy for me. So we all hail Annie Ruggles.
Yeah, we frequently do a Krista and Annie show where Annie and I just rant on something for a full 30 minutes or so. It's been a while. We need another Krista and Annie show. But you all are getting the Krista and Annie show through
without even Annie being here.
All right, so let's talk soul language. So what is it? How does it apply? And the thing I'm so fascinated by and can't wait to hear you share with everyone is, how does it apply to us as the founder of our business, and how does it apply to our business?
Well, soul language is a paradigm or a tool that I created, downloaded, that puts tangibility to the 3 core energies of soul. Your mission, how you fuel that mission, and your soulful personality. Why would you want that? Because whether you're conscious of it, most of us aren't, you are operating from that place. So you want to put consciousness behind that. So you can use all of that goodness of your soul to create what you want. And humans like words for things. So when you have the words for things, that you can create a conscious connection. As a founder, what's really amazing about understanding your soul and your business soul, or the business energy, is you understand exactly what you're putting into that business. And what I mean by that is consciousness versus programming. So I'll give you a perfect example of me. So my soul languages my mission here is called Equalizer. It's all about creating that perfect formula of balance. How I'll be known here is called Teacher of Integrity. It's all about seeing for myself and others where we're out of the consciousness of love and then helping them get back in. And my soulful personality is called Graceful Warrior: Action, Movement, Courage, and Grace. So when I do a soul language ID, I give a one-liner, and that becomes the mild marker of consciousness. If you're not being and doing that, you're creating struggle. So my one-liner is, I create balance for myself and others through love, integrity, and courage. The business energy, not like that at all. My personal energy is action oriented. It's like, come on, let's go, 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 go. And the business is like, let's pause and receive. So I was talking to the business once in the shower, because that's where I do my big thinking. And I was like, so mad at my business. I'm like, I can't believe this. Where are my clients? And the business goes, go to the beach. I was like, oh, no, Miss Business. I got things to do. I got emails to write and programs to write. And I got to, track more people, and I got to do things. And the business goes, go to the beach. It's very still in nature. I was like, fine. So I pack up, I go to the beach, I come back home, and there's 3 new clients in my inbox. I could have pushed throughout the day. And that wouldn't have allowed people to come in, invite them in. So we often put a lot of our pain and programming in our business versus actually working with its consciousness because it's pure energy. So when we just do that, it expands beautifully. It grows. It's easy. Well, it's simple. It's not always easy. And it allows for a lot of interaction of growth rather than pain and struggle.
All right. So there's so many things that you said there that I want to dive into, but I am going to do a total sidebar for us for a moment because you said something that I was like, yes, 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 while you were talking. And it's probably not at all what you were thinking, but that's that you get ideas in the shower. I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many new offers, how many new businesses, how many new everything I get in the shower. And so if any of you listening are like us and you do not have this product, there is something called Aqua Notes.
That's
I bring
fun.
it with me to the pool. I have it on the wall in my shower. Water is where all my brilliant ideas come. So Aqua Notes goes with me everywhere. I am not affiliated with them. I just love them. And I cannot tell you on my desk right now, here is my Aqua Note from earlier. They're everywhere.
Water's a conductive of psychic energy, right? And it also, because your hands are busy, the soul, the intuition can come and actually speak, and you're actually not doing a million things at once because multitasking is killing us, right? And so when you're pausing, you're like, oh, something that's been in the back of the brain trying to reach you, that intuition finally gets to pop. So let's create a movement.
I love it. Okay, so you were talking about programming, you were talking about things being kind of more challenging. And so, are those some of the ways that you can tell you're out of alignment, or what are the ways that you can tell that you aren't in alignment with your soul language or your business isn't?
Yeah. When you're putting struggle into your business through your personal soul, the best way to see when you're out of alignment is you know that something's off. When you're in alignment, you're like, do, 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 things are great, you know. But when you're out of alignment, you're cranky. Everything's harder. It's frustrating. Why aren't things simple? People keep giving you the same, like, oh, I really love your work, but I don't have money. Or I really love your work. And, I wish I met you 2 days ago because I just hired this other coach, which I hate that, by the way. Right. Right. So you have these situations that go, hey, you're out of flow. Something's not right. Not to be judgmental, but it's allowing you to see how separate you feel. And that's really what we're doing. We're playing this giant game about, does this thing I'm being and doing bring me closer to my higher self? God, universe, tree, Bob, cupcake, whatever you want to call that, or farther away, right? And so when you're farther away, it's like walking through a snowstorm versus when you're connected, you're like, oh, I'm just going to go left, and you miss like the traffic accident, right? It's a smoother ride.
All right, so for anyone who's listening, who's thinking, I am right in the middle of a snowstorm and it is a full on blizzard right now, what are some things that you can do to get more in alignment?
The first thing you want to do is, as Jennifer Bloom says, move from the consciousness of the problem to the consciousness of the solution. So, do you want to play a game with me?
Let's do this
Okay.
thing.
So, you want to unpretzel yourself if you sit like a pretzel. You want to put your feet, I know. You
Like
want to,
me? What? You can't see me if you're listening, but yes, my feet are always crossed. Okay.
so you want to put your feet on the floor and you're going to close your eyes and you're just going to get on my bus. So, we're going to use your body to place you in a consciousness. So, here goes. Divine intelligence, place me in the consciousness of the solution. What do you notice?
I just feel calm.
Yeah, I yawned. I went like this. I had a whole hurts moment earlier today. Big thing, right? But now from there, you can make a decision or a choice. You can if you're running around screaming like your pants are on fire. And most people do that internally and don't do that externally, right? You can't do that. So that's the first thing you want to just And then you want to ask yourself a question. If I knew I was whole and complete, or if I knew I was in alignment, what would I say? What would I do? What would I be here? And you can even ask that even if you are in alignment, because we tend not to be perfectly aligned all the time, right? So it helps just to reconnect, bring yourself into that consciousness so you can make better decisions.
I love that. And it's so simple. That took what?
2
Seconds
seconds.
to do the first part, and then answering the question for myself, what, a couple minutes?
Yeah.
That's great. I love it. All right. So, how do we leverage this to help us in our business from a success perspective?
Yeah. So sorry, there's so much. There's so much in that topic.
I know.
I think so often we are trying, we're going to this marketing person to find the right words, and we're going to this product, and all those people are great and we need all those things. But so often we are looking outside of ourselves to solve a solution about why our business isn't successful rather than looking within. And that's the first leverage point. The first leverage point is your business starts and ends with you and what you put into it. So if you're putting your, eighth grade, this actually happened to me. I think I was in sixth grade or something. Sixth grade math teacher embarrassing you in front of the whole, no, it had to be English teacher embarrassing you in front of the whole class. And from that moment forward, anytime where I had to speak out loud, I went into a panic attack. If you're putting that into your business, it's going to go, right? You're missing all those opportunities to speak. You're missing the opportunity to actually have a conversation with someone you don't know because there's fear there, right? So it's really allowing you to deprogram you and get you back to factory settings of goodness. The second thing is you can use your soul languages, anything from writing your elevator speech to having a conversation with your business soul about how much do I charge? What are the right colors of the business? What should I be selling? Who I should be selling to? You name it. Any question that you're asking yourself about business, that's what you should be asking the business energy.
Fantastic. All right. So, tell us about your process. How does this work? Tell us about the soul language. What is it? Break it down.
So it works through something called therapeutic kinesiology or muscle testing. So your body has this divine intelligence, and a lot of people use muscle testing as a yes or no response to get an answer, right? Chiropractics use it all the time. And I'm not asking this question, is it in the greatest good of all that I should have this chocolate? And your body will give a yes or no response. What I do is something called therapeutic kinesiology, which means my body becomes the pendulum on your soul's behalf. That's how we determine a soul language. We don't do a test. We don't do, your birth date, the number of letters in your name. No, your soul speaks to my body down a testing sheet. That's how we determine the soul languages. There are 3 categories. In between those 3 categories, there's 107 core energies of soul. We each have 3, 1 in 3 different categories. Your business has 3, 1 in 3 different categories.
Fantastic. All right. And so, what does this mean? I feel like I need to have you do this for me. I don't know how I haven't yet had you do this for me, but let's make something up here. What would that mean? What are the different types of things, and how does that kind of manifest in the business itself?
So, okay, let's start with the mission language because that's pretty. There's only 19 there, and some of them, when you say that, people just nod their heads, even if they don't need an explanation, right? So, one of the soul languages in that mission language is pioneer. Okay, pioneers forge new roads for themselves and others. So, just let's say that your business is not a pioneer, it's the mentor energy. So mentors mentor themselves and others, but your soul is a pioneer. Okay. So your soul's a pioneer, your business is mentor energy. Okay. Let's just say you're unconscious in your pioneer energy, which is you love bright, shiny objects. It's like squirrel, right? You create and create and create and nothing goes anywhere. That's unconscious pioneer. Conscious pioneer is they're out in front. They have a community. They have projects that are completing. They're forging new roads. If you keep doing squirrel every time, that mentor energy is not going to be able to mentor anyone. And so every time it attracts somebody who wants mentoring, you're going to go off and forge a new road and not going to be able to secure clients. Or you create products and products and products and products, and none of them are mentored or taken care of or nurturing. So it's like having all these little babies that you drop off and then expect the natural elements to feed them and water them and take care of them. And that doesn't happen, right? So there are some tangible examples.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm like, you just described pretty much every visionary ever.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I call that it's one of my 10 areas of waste, and it's focusing on new versus optimization.
I actually created a whole product called the butterfly method because I would have an idea in the morning and I would kick it out at night. 8 hours. And then I'd be like, why isn't it successful? Why doesn't anyone want it? Because it doesn't have any incubation time, right? Right. And so I created a whole method to find out where your ideas are. If they're your ideas to carry out, that's a great question for pioneers and visionaries because they hear everything, right? Is this your idea to take to the next level? And then also what stage your ideas are in, so I could give proper incubation time to ideas rather than I had everything in like ideas and birthing and nothing in the middle. And so it wasn't really like, because I walked when I was 9 months, I never crawled at anything. And so I created a product that helps people crawl.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I love it. All right. So let's talk about, my favorite topic ever, mistakes, things we do where we get in our own way, all of those sorts of things. So, what are some of the things that you see related to this where people slow themselves down or inadvertently are actually kind of keeping themselves from the results that they want?
Yeah, I think one of them is not being consistent. Right? The universe loves consistency, right? I call that good noise pollution, right? Like, like send it out. And I think we're so used to instant gratification that we're like, oh, I did one social media post and nobody wants it. It must be a failure. No, people have the brain capacity of a small fish. You got to keep doing it. I think also people are afraid to sell. They're just afraid to sell, especially spiritual renegades. Those are my people. They're like, oh, I don't want to be like them. It's icky. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be icky. It's how you use that technique and power. Um, I also see a lot of people not utilizing their divine voice, right? They suffocate it, where I have this one woman who I freaking adore. She's in a couple of my programs, and I'm so excited when she speaks because I'm like, here comes something great. Amazing stuff comes out of her mouth. And it took her a while to start to speak. And so we had a conversation. I'm like, listen, you have some amazing, like, people need to hear it. And so often people's divine voice has been shut down through trauma, through rejection, through failure, that they're afraid to speak up. And I think they hide in that.
Yeah, I resonate with that one quite a bit. I know I've shared on the podcast several times, but I 100% convinced myself that I was terrible on video and I should never be on video and I should be the behind the scenes person. And it was because someone had kind of trolled one of my videos that went viral on YouTube. And I didn't even make this association. Like 10 years, I convinced myself I was terrible on video and I stopped doing all video content. So only recently that I've kind of come back onto camera again quite a bit. And I didn't do it consciously. I didn't
Right.
even realize it. It was a
Well,
conversation I was having with someone and I realized maybe that's not actually true. I think I just told myself that because I didn't want someone getting on my case because of my weight in video.
so I'm going to take off my spiritual hat for a moment. Let's go toilet paper that person's house. Like, let's just do it. But seriously, like, I think it's so often that, especially in this day and age, that we live in the comments of the negative ones and we don't really receive all the amazing ones.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not receiving that, just think about all, not you in general, but people. If you're not receiving that, think of all the other things that you're not receiving, right? You're stiff arming the universe. And what I mean by that is I'm in the post office and this woman has a 3 baby carriage with 3 babies in it and the package is on top of the baby carriage, and she's trying to open that really heavy post office door. And I was like, do you need help? And she's like, no, I got it. I'm like, no, you don't have it. Listen, I get it. We're all fierce, strong, independent women. But if you want to succeed, you need to receive more than you give. And I think our overgivers are so afraid to receive. You got to open that up because there's a lot of cogs that you have to fill to create a movement in your business.
Yeah, it's true. That has been an ongoing journey for me throughout my life, for sure. As I think many of us who are natural helpers and
Yeah.
who kind of build businesses around helping other people, we're very good at helping. We are not always good at being helped, receiving help, or asking for help.
Yeah. That changed for me when a couple of years ago when I had a cast on my foot, on my ankle. It's November. It's like late October. I'm outside with my dog, no shoe on the other foot. And my landlord goes, I would have walked the dog. I told you I would walk the dog. Why didn't you ask? And I went, I don't know how to ask. I don't know what's going on. Like that's the moment that it stopped when I realized I'm crazy. It's freezing out here. I have no shoes on and I've got a broken ankle and I'm walking this crazy dog who I love, but she's a puller. That's got to stop. Like I'm I'm challenging people to ask for support and ask it for people you know it's going to give it. Don't ask from the person that you know it's not.
Yeah, that's so smart. All right. So if somebody feels like maybe they are out of alignment, they know like this is so interesting to them and they want to know more, they want to learn more about what their soul language is. What would you tell them? What's some of the first steps? And what does that look like?
Yeah, I say the first step is a discovery session. It's free. We identify one of your soul languages. You can see if this is something that resonates with you. We do transformation. You'll leave with a tangible tool. You can see if we click. That's the first step. And then after that, the soul language ID is the second business ID. And then I do custom programs and I do a group program and a 4-month one-on-one. So that's kind of the journey. If you go on my website, there's actually a lovely graph that I love that someone created where it actually takes you through the steps. But that's the first step. Discover it's you, discover if this resonates with you. I want people to really have the tools, but I don't want them just to click and sign up. I want them to really experience it first.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes so much sense. So tell them where they can find you.
Soullanguage.us. If you go under the soul language section, you can see the discovery session. And I'm on social media at my name or Soul Language Founder.
All right. So there's a question I ask everybody, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. And that is in your business, how do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean?
I think it's, when I first started, I would do oil protocols for people. I would look at them and go, this essential oil works for you, blah, blah, blah. And a friend of mine said, why do you keep like redoing this every time? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, she's like, why don't you just like have a whole sheet and you just check a box? And I was like, oh, so that was the moment where I learned to like put practices in place where you could just copy and paste and you didn't have to keep redoing it all the time. So that's one of the things I do. I have a lot of like, if I'm going to do a session with someone, that documentation of the net, like follow up. And after I send them there, like that's all standard. Sometimes I'll change a word, but it's really like, oh, poop, poop. I think that's really clear. I think really having really great people to support you is clear, and hiring people who do better things in certain areas than you do, right? Like I suck at proofreading. Like I'm better than I've ever been, but I self-correct in my head. So I have two really good, one's a social media, one's my editor, who are really good proofreaders. And they'll go, did you mean this? And I'm like, oh no, I didn't mean that at all. Right. So I think that's really clear, because also it's not only just makes you smarter, it also solves on the, oh my God, I got to send another email and tell everyone how I screwed up kind of feeling, right? You don't need to do that. So that's a couple. And I said certain hours, because I could have worked till, I have warrior energy, so I could work all day, but I'm like, no, let's set hours. And I got a dog, which means I need space during the day to take the dog out. And that allows me not to book my schedule so tight.
I love that. All right. So, final question. I'm just so curious, for everyone listening, any final tips that you have for them on aligning their business with their soul language?
Yeah, I really want you to understand what your purpose is versus the delivery systems. Everyone, I asked about 30 people a couple of years ago, like what their purpose was. And they're like, my purpose here is to empower women. I was like, yeah, no, that's not your purpose. Please don't say that ever again. They're like, what are you talking about? I was like, your purpose is first for you and then for others. And most people think their purpose is external. And that creates a lot of icky sticky in your business. And they get confused their purpose with their delivery systems. My delivery system, among other delivery systems, is soul language. It's a kick-ass delivery system. But my purpose is about connection. So I'm always going to bring myself back and others back to connection. And when you know the difference, that can be very powerful. And it also can take a lot of, oh my God, they don't want me, out of the equation, versus they're not interested in the delivery system, or this is not a perfect fit. So that's my last words of wisdom.
Brilliant. I love that. And that's so smart as you're saying that. I'm thinking of conversations I've had with people, and I have so many pinging in my head right now. Fantastic. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much. I so appreciate you being here and sharing your wisdom. You can find her links down below in the show notes. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. If you have not yet taken our scalability assessment, I invite you to head to leanoutmethod.com/assessment and take our interactive assessment that's going to help you look at how simple, how sustainable, and how scalable your business currently is. It includes personalized recommendations of where to focus next to get your time back, to increase your impact, increase your profits, and ultimately step into your rich, fulfilled life. And finally, we'd love to see you inside our signature program, Simplify to Scale. You can head to leanoutmethod.com/ops to find all of the details on how we can help you uplevel your operations and get out of the day-to-day of your business.